I wanted to talk to you about some of the structural elements of the play. So the title comes from a John Donne poem,
Mm.
but there's also Vivaldi music, and then Joni Mitchell's song that is used as the titles for all the scenelets.
Hmm.
And it's not the more well-known version of Both Sides Now. It is the older version um, where that she sang in the '60s, not the one that almost everyone has heard from. I think either the late '90s or early 2000s.
Yeah, and I actually one of the things to put me in the mood is I just kept playing this song on a YouTube video thing, and just listening to it over in my mind, just getting into that mood. It's a good song because it's slow and it's mournful and rueful in a sense, and it put me in the mood of writing it, and it helped me write this play.
Mhm. And how do you think the scenelets titles relate to each other? Some of them have just an incidental relation. They sort of remind me of how you adapted the Shakespearean sonnets and took just a word or two, sometimes just an article, and interposed them into your American sonnets.
Sometimes, yeah. With these, probably about two-thirds of them, two-thirds of the little quotes from each verse of the song. And it might, if the verse had 8 words, I might have 3 words as the scenelet's title.
Mm.
But sometimes they had no connection at all, and I just had the scene where it had to go dramatically, and that's the next verse there. And so uh, I, it's sort of left up to the reader or someone watching who would see the title played on to make something of it or not. It's just a way to be a little bit more interactive. It gives a sense of, because some people who will know that song might have that and think about that every time the words come up, and that might put them in a mood. One of the things with art, and especially with something like theater that's performance art, is you want to sort of guide people, but you don't want to you want to sort of nudge them gently. You don't want to force them to think something. And so that's a technique that I thought would be good to put in the mood, of looking back on the past. And Anyway.
It's also interesting you mentioned uh, Danny's aversion to the real Jenny, uh, but he also finds it a sort of purgatory to be with the dream Jenny at some point too. Jess is his, you know, is more akin to what he likes, and I don't think dream Jenny could ever really get many of the things his Jess could get.
No, I mean, and that's one of the things that the real Jess doesn't get with her own insecurities is that, and I've said that to Jessica many times, is that, whether it was some girl I knew in the past or it's this woman I know now and work with, or if it was some Playboy playmate or something, it's like it'd be next to impossible for me to be with anyone but Jessica because there's no one else that's even close to her artistically. Yeah, maybe if there was, but even if let's say there was a modern day Georgia O'Keeffe that I met, and let's say if Jessica had died or something, I don't know. I mean, Georgia O'Keeffe as a painter is in a league with Jessica as a writer. I mean, she's just not. Georgia
No.
O'Keeffe is arguably, you could make an argument that she's a near great painter with a few great paintings, but she's not nearly as dominant and as great an artist or painter as Jessica is a writer. So it's sort of kind of spoiled. And I know, even though she'd hate to admit it, Jessica has admitted similarly about me that it would be hard for her to be with anyone else. I mean, that's not to say that. I mean, if I ever was with someone, like if I became a widower, it would have to probably be someone who wasn't in the arts. Maybe someone who was just intelligent, and maybe someone who is into something totally different, a scientist maybe, or a, a, a historian.
Unless Alison Krauss becomes available.
Well, she's cute, but then I've read stuff about her that she likes some silly TV shows. So I mean, she'd have to sing to me all the time.